Okay, I mean, we can go ahead and start. I was looking. You're going to do that today or no?
There's a couple people on, so I think we'll just take some questions.
Okay.
And then next week we can go into start a diagram discussion.
All right.
So, all right, everyone, welcome. Sorry for the late start. As this is a holiday weekend, I'm just waiting to see if more people would join us. Hope you're all doing well. I'd like to open up the floor for some questions. If you have any, feel free to write them in the chat. But first, let's start off with our opening prayer for spiritual workers. And then we'll move into open discussion. Prayer for spiritual workers. Almighty God, I bless all those who, because of their limitations, would smite me. Almighty God, I bless all those who, because of their weakness, would not heed me. Almighty God, I bless all those who, because of their ignorance, would defile you through me. And I ask, Almighty God, O wondrous power, that your strength may be given to me now, so that I might be fortified by this, so that I might go forward bravely into the world, and despite reception, send forth my love of thee throughout all races of man. Almighty God, give me the power and strength to rise above my karmic weakness, the deficiencies in the pattern of my evolution, so that I might evolve and become stronger, and even stronger, in thy everlasting light. O God, thy will be done. Okay. All right, everybody, once again, welcome to our second open discussion for 2021. Feel free to ask any questions you may have in the chat, and we will gladly try to answer those for you. Also, if there are any particular subject areas or questions that you would like us to address with an in-depth study, feel free to post those or email us about them, and we will do our best to put together a study for those. This one here so we can see better. Okay. So do we have any questions so far? Okay, there's a question here. Could you list any wholly good books you reference in your teachings or philosophy, as broad from the Holy Bible to the secret doctrines? Thank you.
We have a handout that we give. With that person email, we can give them the recommended books. Is that recommended? There's a recommended pamphlet online? Doing?
I don't think it's online, but the e-library is.
But I thought we put the recommended books online too as well. It's not there?
I'm not sure. I have to check to make sure if it's on the website. Or it might be in the MeetUp, but I don't know if that's easily accessible.
The MeetUp.
The file section of the MeetUp?
Yeah.
James, send us an email directly, and we'll be able to assist you.
Okay. Yeah, because we study an array of, at least I did over my lifetime. I studied Christianity, Hinduism, and Buddhism. And some of the teachings I studied was Yoga Ramacharaka, Paramahansa Yogananda, Swami Sivananda, Swami Vivekananda. Studied the Theosophical teachings. I studied the Arcane Society, which is Alice Bailey, and the Tibetan. There's an array of authors and teachings. I put a lot of them on the website, mysticknowledge.org. But I think we have a library of about what, 2,000 books, mystical books.
You have quite a lot.
Yeah. It's too much to actually put online.
So if you can look on your screen, you'll see I'm sharing our group on MeetUp, on meetup.com. It's the Miami Metaphysical Study Group. You can join that group. And if you click here on, I think it's more, and then on message boards, it will take you to the older version of the site. And in the older version, if you go to more again, and then down to files, you have to be a member of the MeetUp group to access it, but it's free to join. Click on files, and you'll see there are several PDFs, document files that you can access, including a class terminology, a PDF with a chakra system. These are from before. In the past, we would do different classes. You would upload the notes and other documents into MeetUp so members can download them easily. So you'll see various documents here, and then you'll also see a couple of booklets. One, Karma by Annie Besant. You'll also see Introduction to the Yogi Ramacharaka Teachings, Science of Breath, 14 Lessons in Yoga Philosophy, the advanced course, also by Yogi Ramacharaka, a series of lessons in Raja Yoga, etc. So there are several texts here and other documents from previous classes and previous years. Plenty for you to look at and read. And you could also go to our website, Mystic Knowledge. I can remember how to spell. .org. It's okay. I got an update certificate on it, but it should be. One second. I can also go to our website here. And you'll see several links here: ebook library 1, ebook library 2, and Mystic Lessons. There are dozens, if not hundreds, of PDF documents made available for you to download. And yes, I'll put the links in the chat so you can go ahead and get access to those. This should take you quite some time to go through, but these are the books that Nehemiah has collected and put together and recommends for us to study. The first link is mysticknowledge.org in the chat. The second, MeetUp.org. And if I spelled it correctly, both of those links should take you directly to the Mystic Knowledge website, and the second one should route you to the appropriate MeetUp page. Okay, let's see. Another question here. Can you break down soulmates?
Soulmates, most people get that wrong. It's just to have you know that your soulmate in most cases is an aspect of you. And one part of you go and reincarnate many, many times to gain experience, and another part of yourself go out and gain experience. And at one time or two, maybe I don't know how many times, you may meet each other. Normally you meet that person in the opposite sex. And that's why the people call soulmates. And when you meet in the opposite sex, it's never by chance, it's by design, by your higher self. You may find that you and that person get along very well, or you might be arch enemies. But in most cases, when you meet, you usually get along very well, and they call it a soulmate. But normally, when you begin to meet up like that, your journey is becoming closer to the end. That aspect of you might be born in the next life or the next couple of lives. They might be born, you and that aspect might be born as one aspect. And then you continue to move on until you find another aspect of yourself. Um, and you find your second soulmate, your third soulmate, or how many it is, until you eventually ascend. And that's the real mystic knowledge behind soulmate. And briefly said, you can actually write a book on it. I hope that answers your question.
Question, a follow-up question. What's the book called?
Which book?
Well, which book are you referring to, Jason?
There's nothing credible written on soulmates, in my opinion. That's from personal experience and just knowledge or lectures I heard. I think Dr. Jones King give a tape on soulmates, don't
Yes, he
he?
does.
The lecture. He gives a brief lecture. It's not a long lecture, but you can order that particular lecture from theories.org, I think. Probably back in the early 1900s. Somebody from the Theosophical Society wrote on soulmates. But the modern day New Age stuff, I would stay away from it. Talking about that, they give some type of romantic version of it.
Okay, here's the lecture, Dr. George King on soulmates. I put the link in the chat as well. You can order it as both an audio download, maybe as a CDR. I think it's only available as a download now, probably. The link is in the chat. Another question, what is the difference between the auric body and the soul?
The auric body is the body of the soul. The first body the soul creates for itself is the auric body. And in the older teachings, they used to call it the unit, you know, or in more recent decades, people would call it the auric body. But that is an indestructible body. It's a body made out of the highest etheric materia, cosmic materia, and the soul uses that body for eons to move through other cycles of experience. All the bodies, all the incarnations or mind substance that the body takes, that the soul takes on, is the auric body becomes that body that sustains all other bodies. It's like the atmosphere of this earth sustains millions, trillions of life forms. Because why? Because if the atmosphere was stripped off this earth, then none of us could stay here. Only the base materia that makes up the body of the earth could stay here. So the auric body is that atmosphere, is layers and layers of magnetic substance, cosmic magnetic substance that the soul have pulled down around itself in order to sustain the mental body, the mental bodies, the energy bodies that the mental bodies control, and the etheric bodies that the mental bodies pull together in order to gain experience, and the astral bodies also that the mental body pull together on the behalf of the soul, and the physical bodies that's interchanged in the gross physical planes of existence. So as we move from the physical plane to the astral plane or the etheric plane, all those bodies fit tightly within the auric body, because the auric body is that substance that the soul gave us to sustain ourselves for cycles of experience, from life to life to life to life. I hope that answers your question.
Right, so follow up to the auric question. So the auric body remains when we die. Where does the soul go when we die?
The soul is the I of you. The spirit is the I am. The spirit never left its position. The spirit is a divine spark of God that creates the soul, which is the I and the traveling part of the spirit, because the spirit is part of the whole, part of the absolute. So it never moves, it never leaves its position. The soul is created by the spirit, and the soul becomes the I of you. So the soul is the orchestrator. The soul is not sustained by any of the bodies that it creates. So there's no death for the soul except for the absorption back into the spirit. So the soul only take on different bodies to experience different things. And because the auric body is the first body of the soul, the auric body sustains itself, like I said earlier, for eons until it vibrates to a higher level. Let's say this earth is a classroom. Once the soul is finished with this particular classroom, the soul vibrates the auric body to a different level. An adept has an aura that's slightly larger than than the average man. The master has a huge aura, but the avatar or the ascended man has no aura. Now, what does that mean? That means that at the point of ascension, the soul takes the aura that's been sustaining the all the physical body, astral body, and etheric body, and blend all those bodies into one ascended body, and then it forms a new body. And now that body becomes the part of the auric body and the essential body, and no longer does the auric body needs to pull this raw material together in order to gain experience. It becomes an avatar so it can phase in and out of any realm of existence and use that one body, just continue to upgrade it with or phase it to a different realm of existence. So I'm trying to make it very simple, but it's a very complex study when you look at it. So the soul does not die. The soul is with us and with the spirit always, because it's part of the spirit. It's directly from the spirit, and it only is absorbed back into the spirit. All the other Shakti modifications that's exactly what it is, modifications.
There was a few moments there where the signal dropped out, but I think we got the most of what you were saying. Okay. Okay, James, I'm going to ask you a question, but I don't. If some parts I don't understand, so if I don't ask it correctly, please correct me. Question is, I was studying the meter netter, and when I start chanting the Ong Hyung Sang Heka, then I send the name Shiva in a dream, and I start seeing her, and she was teaching me and telling me to get the serpent book. That was just the beginning of the stuff that happened. Last night, a voice said that there is 2 more calls before evacuation. What did that mean? I am lost. Please help.
Yeah, I would recommend when you study these books, do not readily chant any mantras given in those books, unless you really know that the author is an adept or master. And then there's a way to receive a mantra. And you should never really write a mantra down unless you have went through the process of receiving that mantra properly. Now, on the other things, sometimes as we grow or as we learn or study stuff, our higher self will come to us in our dreams and give us messages. They may appear, your higher self may appear as someone else. Or sometimes the higher self is contacted by someone that gives them permission to appear as them to tell you something. And this is to ease the impact of the shock of your life, because as the teachings tell us, we live in a sea or world of illusion, because life is not what it is. This is all an illusion. The very fact, my last answer to the question about the auric body, you see that it's an illusion. So you need to study stuff coldly and how it is when things come to you. So it's best to write it down, go over all your past thoughts and past situations and alarming situations, and make sure that what you dreamed about or things that happen to you in an unconscious state is not a combination of your fears and past thoughts and anxiety, because the difference between a dream and a vision is is real. And when you have a vision that all of a sudden comes while you're in an unconscious state, one thing you'll notice, you'll be able to taste, touch, smell, and feel in your visions. You'll feel the sunlight against your face if you're outside. If you're in a cold place, you'll feel the coldness against your skin. You'll be able to be aware of your palate, in your mouth. You'll be able to smell the environment. So a vision is very different from a dream. And those are the things that you need to discern yourself with when you're dealing with incidents like that. And that's your point of discrimination, because of the state of illusion that we're in, we have many psychosis type situations. That's why it's best, like the 8 limbs of yoga, to control yama, to control your thoughts and actions, and learn concentration and contemplation. I hope I'd answer your question.
James, did that answer your question? Let's see. Well, the person said actually the majority of your explanation on how much of the auric body remains after we die and where the soul goes didn't come through.
Oh, well, like I said, the soul does not die. The auric body is indestructible. The soul created the auric body for its first body as a primary body. So every other body lives within the auric body, and every other body is sustained by the auric body. And the soul only manipulates the cosmic energies to create the auric body, and so that it can sustain all the other bodies, the cycles of the body. When someone ascends, then that person absorbs the energy of the etheric body, astral body, physical body, all the energies, and it becomes an ascended body along with the auric body. So at that point, there's no more unconscious reincarnations. If the body needs to be upgraded. The ascendant master or avatar upgrades that body. That body can last for thousands upon thousands of years. So there's no more. It's like in the ancient teachings, they say the will of rebirth is broken. There's no more samsaras. There's no more reincarnations. So that's the auric body becomes the ascendant body. It takes all the bodies and make one body and becomes the ascendant body. And the soul never dies. The soul just moves from one experience to the next. There's no death for the soul. The soul is only absorbed back into the spirit, the divine spark of God. And that's at the end of the journey of the soul, but it only becomes a part of the spirit again. So my volume keep going in and out?
I can hear you clearly now.
Okay.
And I think you're going through clearly. Okay, James, I put our email address in the chat, so you can send us an email. Or anyone can send us an email with any individual questions you may have, or private questions you may have. Another question here. Do you think the Buddha was referring to the same soul that all other religions and spiritualities refer to, hence the whole theory of anatta, or no soul?
I don't know what source are they referring to, because a lot of people, but with the Western world, they really did a job on the Buddha, the teachings of Buddha. So you have to look at the source. To my understanding, the Buddhists believe in exactly what I told you. That's what the Buddhists believe in. That the soul is the body of the spirit, and the soul is the I, and the spirit is the I am. And the soul is the journey. It's a traveling body for the spirit. And the spirit is that divine spark of God which never moves. It stays center or with the absolute or the supreme God, and then the soul goes out on a journey. And even the soul creates a body for itself, which is the auric body. And the soul manipulates or modifies the Shakti power to gain experience throughout the universe. And that's the teachings of the Hindus, that's the teaching of the Buddhists, that's even the teachings of the Africans, which are the three groups of civilizations or people that that obtain this information for millions of years. That's their core teachings for millions of years.
There's a question here. So the question is on the path to manifestation. The way I like to do it is to praise God and feel his love, say multiple prayers and focus every day until I feel his presence and ask for what I desire. It is up to him and his timeline for me as to whether or not it is granted. and the energy and love and gratitude and honor to him is what I feel. I can do this anytime. Sometimes I will get a message from God too, which will tell me if what I am doing is the right thing. Years ago, I asked for something specific and a big gift, and I got it. And it didn't happen immediately, but I prayed almost every day until I got it, and it was big. And important, when praying, the rate of vibration is always high, and I always give thanks. They wanted to hear your opinion on that, I guess, practice and on the path of manifestation, or the practice of manifestation.
Well, the one thing is that I hope the things that you're asking to be manifested is a benefit of the people around you in the world. Because to put such energy and focus on it, it shouldn't be selfish. It should be selfless. And the greatest action that you can act is a selfless act. So we need to move away from focusing on ourselves. If we focus on ourselves, we focus on ourselves only to be a greater instrument for the world and for God to use for the world. We shouldn't have the ambition to just get as much things as we want for ourselves. And when we do gain a lot for ourselves, we should be that center that gives a lot to the world. So that's in every master from every religion, or every prophet or emissary of God taught us that we are to give, that we are to become servants for the world once we receive such great wisdom, knowledge, or gifts. So yes, you can pray to God, and when you pray to God, you actually pray into the higher aspect of yourself that links you to God. And yes, if you ask for something, you will be given that eventually, especially if you are persistent with it. But like I said, woe unto those who ask for things that's not necessary, and that is selfish. So make sure that whatever you ask for is going to benefit not only you but everyone around you.
Right. In the link I just posted in the chat is to our shared Google Drive folder with several of the handouts that we've been using in the open discussions. Once you click it, you'll see two folders. One says 2020, another one says 2021. 2020 are the handouts we covered last year. 2021, which covers a couple in there, the things we're planning to cover this year. We haven't gotten to those yet. That link should take you to the shared folder. Also, some previous links in the chat will take you to our MeetUp group, where we send out announcements for all of our discussions and classes, and also host some files, which I think I'll move over to the shared folder as well. And also a link to our current website. Question here. Why do I feel Buddha energy when I'm chanting his mantras?
Well, the Buddha is the new Seneca Mara. It's too much to go into, but it's as of 1956, Buddha became the head of the city of Shambhala. Before then, it was Senate Kamar, who had been there for 18 million some years. So now Buddha is over the city of Shambhala. And the city of Shambhala is it's not a mythical city. It is a city that guards and protects this earth and the residents of this earth. So if you notice in the last 60 some years, you could almost find a statue of Buddha in everyone's house. And people don't know why, but the Buddha energy is everywhere. So if you feel kinship to it, that doesn't surprise me. So study up on the city of Shambhala and the fact that Buddha took the place of the Senate Kamar, which is a very interesting study. It's not much out there, but it is some information out there.
Here, follow up to the aura discussion. So to ascend, wait. Jason, could you elaborate on that question when you asked a bit ago? So to ascend to still consciousness after death.
Ascend, Jesus ascended, right? We understand that. We know that several great masters ascended. Buddha ascended. Sri Krishna ascended. We know that Elijah ascended. The Bible tells us, or at least the Old Testament tells us that, and Enoch ascended. So, and there's dozens of Indian and Hindu shears and masters ascended. What does ascend mean? Mean they break the wheel of rebirth. They no longer have to be born here on earth, and they no longer have to be reincarnated unconsciously. They have reached a point where they can control the power of Kundalini up and down their spine to the degree that they can move all the Kundalini up into the crown chakra area and reconfigure their auric body to absorb the energy of the mental body, etheric body, the astral body, and the physical body, and build them an ascendant body that can live in all the realms of earth or all the realms of existence by phasing in and out of any realm. And that's an ascendant master or an avatar. They're not bound by any one plane of existence or any planet. They can go to any planet they choose to. So, but they always make the right karmic position to remain where they are or to go to the planet that they need to go to. But that's the difference. There's no more unconscious reincarnation with an ascended master.
Okay.
I hope that they explain it or give some type of clarity to it.
Question here. So are there different auric bodies that continuously have different souls, one at a time, that keep on reincarnating in cycles?
There's only one soul that you have. You can have multiple bodies, but one soul. So, and that soul has an auric body. It's kind of hard to explain, but you can be sitting here and 14 other places or 1,400 other places with one soul. Because this is an illusion. But those bodies are operating with that one soul. And that one soul has one auric body that sustains all those bodies. When you get to the point of a high degree of concentration or contemplation, you can separate your consciousness through astral projection. The FBI or CIA call it remote viewing, but you can visit other places of the world and see exactly what's going on. But that doesn't mean you have a whole nother soul, a whole nother astral body, a whole nother you. No, it's an aspect of you. So, but the soul still remains where it is because remember, the soul was created by the spirit, and the spirit has omnipresence, power, omnipotent. So, and the spirit has no beginning and no end. So the soul taps into this endless potential of power of the spirit, and it carries out the directives of the spirit to gain experience in gross matter. So the eons and eons of travel from involution to evolution back to the spirit, the soul uses these powers to do that. And the soul goes back to the spirit as a conscious God aspect within manifestation.
Yeah, Veronica, he touched on that, but I'll pose the question anyway. Can the soul have simultaneous experiences? If so, can you experience the alternative experience?
Yeah, I mean the soul, like I said, the soul can have 1,400 different bodies simultaneously, and gain an experience on all parts of the world in 1,400 different locations, and they can be in the physical world, the astral world, and the etheric world all at the same time, and all being directed by the one soul. So as you grow in experience and knowledge and understanding, those aspects of the soul they will blend back together, life after life after life, until you bring all aspects of the soul, because they are aspects of expression from the soul. Bring all these aspects of expression back together into one auric body, and then you can ascend. So yes, these are the mystic teachings, and in fact, when you look at the ancient teachings and even some of the most recent teachings, when the great masters or like Sri Krishna, Hercules, the different descriptions of Rama, and even the five adepts, the three adepts and five adepts, when they came in contact with these evil warriors from the lower hells, once they killed them, their consciousness was split up into many different parts, and could not, by karmic law, could not come back together until that person have learned their lesson. Well, that's why you have those type of cases. So it's funny because in ancient times, the ancient warriors, they used to try to mock the ancient teachings of these great masters or karmic law by slicing a person's body up after they kill them and send them to the four corners of the earth, thinking that they're splitting that person's aspect up and they cannot come back as one. So that's where that came from. But in actuality, when you go back to the mystic teachings, is because karmic law, when it comes to the end of their evil doings, they something positive happen, and that's the positive. If you look at mathematics itself, you say a negative number times a negative number is equals to a positive number. If a person continues to do evil, then a positive action comes out of that. And what's that positive action? When we're talking about a person that brings about great evil on any plane of existence, is that they are no longer allowed to do that anymore. Their powers are split up, their consciousness, and what makes power? Consciousness makes power. And their consciousness is split up, and they cannot come back together under that frame of mind until they have learned their lesson. So they reincarnate many times in a split up consciousness, and the soul will not bring them back together until they have learned their lesson. And that's karmic law. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, Veronica, an earlier question was asked about soulmates, and in the chat, I posted a link to a lecture by Dr. George King that goes into that subject. Question here, what does it mean when Shiva gives her name to me, and what does it mean when the phallus jumps as I wake up?
I have no idea. That's something they have to figure out. But let me explain what Shiva is the absolute. So let's get that right. The deities of the Hindu, the so-called Hindu tradition, the deities is nothing but explaining. They showed them as deities in order to personalize them with individuals, but they are divine forces within manifestation. So the Shiva is the absolute. So all things came from Shiva, and they express themselves as Shakti, because all life is Shakti, which is power. And Shakti has four principles, and that is Nani, which is wisdom, the intelligence of the universe, and Chitta, which is the universal mind, which is a universal consciousness of the universe, and then Prana, which is the power, which is all power within the universe, and then Amana, which is the love of the universe, and the love of the universe is the preservation of power. It sustains all things in manifestation. So it allows the Shakti power to modify itself throughout the manifested world, throughout the universe. And then you have the Mahabhutas, which is the five etheric elements of the universe: Akasa, Vayu, Tejas or Agni, Apas, and Verites, which is etheric space, Akasa, air, which is Vayu, Tejas or Agni is heat or fire, and Apas is liquid, and Verites is solids. And all these are etheric are aspects, are the five aspects of etheric elements which appear as etheric elements, as astral elements, and gross physical elements. And that is all the modifications of Shakti. And then when it blends together, it creates the tabic force, or the tava force, throughout the universe, which is a mode of motion as it moves through the universe on Akasa. And Akasa is Nata. And Nata is vibrational sound of the absolute of bringing about manifestation. Is we are told that God spoke the word and the word was God, and manifestation came. Well, that was the Vak, the initial sound, which released a sound, which on that sound was the Shakti power, which is Nata Shakti, which was later manifests itself as Akasa, creating space and etheric sound throughout the universe. And with that comes the signature of creation. And Akasa is the carrying energy or agent for all energy in the universe. And in the ancient teachings, they named these. They said that they were deities in order to have people to understand them, because of lack of information or description or understanding. But we can see, because a lot of the great masters have came back and explained this in great detail. So I would say study Sivananda, Swami Vivekananda, Ramaprasad. They gave the modern metaphysical science behind these teachings. So I hope you can understand that. It's a lot to go into in a short space of time.
Jason's another question here. When we die, how can we remember this present experience? Okay, Jason, are you asking if after we exit this body and we're on the other realms, how can we remember this life, or how can we remember previous lives in a
Well, I mean, you do remember. Every aspect of your life is kept in the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind records everything. And hypnotists, people that study hypnosis have proven that, because they have hypnotized people and they take them back to the day that they was born, and they can and in their subconscious mind they can give a graphic description of how it was when they entered this gross physical plane out of the womb of their mother. They were able to tell them exactly how the room was. And some people went back and documented in some places, especially in hospitals. Sometimes those hospitals, they never, because of budget restraints, they never really do any type of real rehab or modifications. There was one case where the person described how many panels was in the roof, and the room, everything. And they looked up the records, went back to that place, and it was exactly how that person's recorded it as an infant. So your subconscious mind records everything. Now, the way the mind works, certain things are withheld from you in order to not to traumatize you. But as you grow and gain control over your mental faculties, these things will reveal itself to you. And and the illusion will disappear, and you'll be able to see things as it is. So all the fake psychosis and prejudice and all these things would disappear from your character. And you would not be blinded by these things. These things will not hold you back spiritually. You will be able to see and know and go where you want to go. And you will remember your past lives. Because no one can tell your past life by karmic law. They cannot tell you if they knew. They would need karmic permission to expose you to who you were or where you were. Anyone who say that they can tell you, they are lying to you, unless they was given permission.
Is Earth the most difficult dimension to incarnate in?
Well, I wouldn't call Earth a dimension, because in every dimension means measure. And according to mysticism, on every realm of existence, you have at least 7 dimensions that makes up that realm of existence, at least 7. So is gross physical Earth one of the the most difficult planes of existence or realms to exist on? Yes and no, but in a sense, because you have multiple realms of existence on this earth. But the earth is one of the lowest planes of existence. I would say that this earth, uh, because of the crimes of the population of this earth, we are still going through growing pains. And it takes a lot to get to the physical plane. I would say that the most populated realm of this earth is the lower hells, the lower astral realms. You have more people on the lower realms than what you do on this physical earth, and you have more people on the lower realms than what you have in the higher realms, or what they call the higher heavens, which is virtually it's not that populated. The higher realms are not that populated.
Okay. Question here. When I am in the half lotus posture, I experience within my abdomen, chest, and head vibration, then extreme heat, then electricity and powerful light. I sit down and be still. I feel the energy within and around my body and able to move it mentally and freely.
They say the lotus.
Yeah, the half lotus posture.
Okay. But that's just a common practice. And when you sit in the lotus long enough and you do pranayama exercises, you will begin to feel the heat or the energy within the body. But in order to manipulate that energy, you need to gain control over the mind, and you do that while in the lotus and outside of the lotus. So I always refer back to the yoga, the limbs of the yoga, which is yama, nayama, the asanas, which is the lotuses, and pranayama, which is the control of prana, or control of energy within the body. Pratyahara, where you withdraw the senses from the outside world, and then concentration, contemplation, and meditation. Those are the 8 limbs of yoga. And that is the pathway to gaining control over the Kundalini energy within the body. Because once you're able to move the Kundalini energy, if you cannot control it, you will exit this earth, or you will damage yourself. So you have to be very careful in dealing with these yoga practices, and you need a guide, someone to guide you in doing this. You should never attempt to do it by yourself. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, do we have any additional questions?
Did we answer all the questions today?
I believe so. Okay. There's no further questions. Can close out today's open discussion. Before that, I'll give you a little preview of what we're thinking of covering next. It's not finished, or we may choose to go in an entirely different direction. But if so, I'll upload the handouts we choose to use into the folder. Now in the shared folder, you should see the 2021, there's 3 documents there. One particular called Life on the Planet. And what I was thinking of addressing is several questions people have had regarding, UFOs, extraterrestrial life, and life throughout the universe. Many of which are spurred by the recent disclosures that several governments have been releasing lately, particularly the United States government and the CIA, regarding identified flying objects, flying phenomena, and potential extraterrestrial contact. There's a lot of questions and a lot of misinformation on around there about it. So I figured we can maybe address a couple of the questions. In that handout, again, we're not finished assembling it, but there's a couple of pages of different diagrams that we can use to help frame the discussion. And we start off with a look at the chakra system. And the reason I want to start with an examination of the chakra system again, because I believe that is foundational in understanding, life on the planets. Even though Nehemiah has framed the methodology of the National Mystic Knowledge Center around the mystic constitution of man, this constitution, the auric bodies and the chakra system, is not limited to terrestrial man or to Earth. The chakras, as he has mentioned before, represent realms of existence, and realms that go beyond the Earth. And the seat of our consciousness, or the place in which our consciousness operates from, is housed in the base of the spine, the sex center. And that is a level of conscious operation for most of the human race. That realms also extend out beyond just the Earth. They are represented on other planets as well. So when we begin to look at life on the planets, it'd be good to start with an examination of the chakra system, an examination of consciousness, an examination of the realms as they pertain to the chakras, and how consciousness is moved throughout the chakras and the different levels of consciousness or states of consciousness represented by the chakras and development, and what it means to have the consciousness operating throughout the various levels. For example, the levels towards mastership, solar plexus center, young adept level, heart center, adept level, throat center, an experienced adept or young master, Christ center, an experienced master level, the crown is an avatar. So as we go through these, you'll begin to understand different levels of operations and how they correspond to life on the various planets. We'll also take a look at the realms themselves, the path of life beyond death, the 4 aspects of creation, which is a very deep occult treatise, and then we'll move into even deeper occult studies corresponding to the 9 freedoms, which is an evolutionary path laid out for not just life on Earth, but for all life, and how that corresponds to the different levels of conscious operation on the different planets. It's just a study within this particular solar system. So there'll be a lot of information that we'll cover, and hopefully once we do that, you'll have a better understanding different types of extraterrestrial and just life throughout the galaxy and the universe, and we'll be able to answer a lot of your questions on that. So stay tuned as we continue assembling over, I think, the next several weeks, this study of ours. And if you have any questions or further topics you'd like us to address, you can send them to us via email or post them in the discussions we have going forward. All right, so do we have any final questions or concerns before we close today's open discussion? Can't see the chat window. There. Okay, if not, go ahead and close out with the New Lord's Prayer. The New Lord's Prayer. O divine and wondrous Spirit, O everlasting Lord of hosts, send forth now through me thy great and lasting power. Allow me, Almighty God, the lasting privilege of radiating to all the world thy great love, so that those who suffer may be given the power and energy to rise above their weaknesses. Almighty God, in great humility do I ask you to send forth your power, to give to me this great lasting privilege of being a channel, so that my suffering brothers may be helped and guided and healed and lifted into thy light, so that they who know not may look up and in doing so receive of their higher selves your divine counsel. Almighty God, this day have you granted me a divine privilege. I ask you now to give to me the strength so that never again will I turn from my inner vision of you. Oh, great peace, great peace, great peace. In praise of your greatness, O God, doth my soul sing. Grant it energy to sing on, forever and forever. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for your attendance. We'll see you next time.